show on the internets. And this is BBQ Central.
Start the game! Let's go!
We'll do it live. Okay. Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
So to get that perfect barbecue, you use wood. Are you sure it's safe? Whatever. We put the lighter fluid on, strike the match, and... Oh! Should we call the fire department? That might be a good idea.
Good evening and welcome to the Really Big Barbecue Central Show. A show that talks about all things important to the world of barbecue and grilling. Broadcasting live from the Barbecue Central Network studios in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city of Cleveland, Ohio, the barbecue capital of the North Coast. I am your program host, Greg Rempe. Happy to have you aboard here. If you want to jump in on the show this evening via the phone, via the email, no problem. Would love to have you add something. Here's how you do it.
You can get in touch with the show by calling 216-220-0966. Email Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com. On the Twitter and Instagrams at BBQ Central Show.
Everything else you want to find out about the show can be found at the main website, thebbqcentralshow.com. And here's what's happening in case you didn't get the newsletter coming up in about 12 minutes from now. He is, I don't even know if arguably can fit into this sentence, but arguably the face of barbecue, whether you look at it from a competition aspect, whether you look at it from an entertainment aspect, whether you look at it from a restaurant/business aspect, widely considered to be the breakout star of the barbecue community, especially over the last 5, 6, 7 years. He is a multiple-time book author, has appeared on numerous television shows, morning shows, evening shows, talk shows. You name it. He's run the gamut, and he's going to sit down with us for potentially 2 segments. I am, of course, talking about the pitmaster of Jack's Old South competition team and brand. Myron Mixon will rejoin the show. Very excited to catch up with Myron, and we have a number of different ways to go with him this evening, so looking forward to catching up with Myron. It's been a minute. I think the last time he won the Memphis in May, which was, getting on, has it been 4 years now? He was on talking about that. At that point, he had pulled even with Chris Lilly in number of overall grand championships. Since then, Chris has eclipsed, of course, wildly successful at Memphis in May. And I believe that was the last time that Myron was on. We had tried to have him on like a month and a half ago, but I had a scheduling conflict on my part, and we had to push back. So we've rescheduled for this evening and 2 segments here in the first hour. So look forward to that. Make sure you share that with everybody. And then we will push to the second hour where we have 2 top-line guests as well. If you follow him on social media, if you are a fan of his barbecue products, you know the words and terms pods and womp can only be the pitmaster of Meet Mitch barbecue team and the brand. Mitch Benjamin will be rejoining the show at 10:14 Eastern, and looking forward to catching up with Mitch. Here's a guy who, when he was on the show the first time and the last time, it was a fledgling company. Sauce was out. Womp Sauce was doing very well. I believe he had a pretty high-profile baseball Hall of Famer helping him pimp the sauce, that and George Brett. One of my favorite baseball memories of all time was George Brett blowing up when they played the Yankees in the infamous Pine Tar incident. I watched that happen live on WPIX television in upstate New York because, of course, the Yankees were my favorite team at that point. And that was one of the most incredible sports moments that have been burned into my mind. Now, subsequently, I have also happened to take in live and in person in Cleveland the drive, the fumble, The Shot, the list goes on. All of the most hideous things to happen to Cleveland. Aside from the last, 20 years of Cleveland Browns football seasons have been their own nightmare. But the ones that are most prolific, I took in person, which led me to get a complex where if I actually went to anything important that was related to Cleveland sports, not only was I going to force them to lose, but it was going to be in dramatic fashion. So I don't know exactly how that turned into whatever the hell I was talking about, but Mitch Benjamin from Meet Mitch will be joining us 14 past the second hour, and then we will close it out with a former fellow podcaster. I believe he won awards at the NBBQA a couple years ago. I don't think they entered this past year. They were doing the Behind the Smoke podcast last time I had him on. Actually, I believe they had just stopped doing the Behind the Smoke or had cemented their 100th episode, and that was what they were going to be stopping on, episode 100. He is the owner of Cali Comfort BBQ. They are putting on a huge barbecue event on August 18th, I believe. We'll get some more information from him on that here in about an hour and 30 minutes. Shawn Walchef will be joining me, again, from Cali Comfort BBQ, and we'll be catching up with him and seeing what's new, not only the digital media side, but obviously we'll be talking about that Bet on Barbecue event that he has going on at the beautiful and luxurious Del Mar Racecourse, which is one of my favorite racecourses that I've never been to. Do you follow me socially? Please make sure you do it at BBQ Central Show, Instagram and Twitter /BBQ Central Show on the Facebook. And you can watch me there as well. You can also take in the live video feed on YouTube Live if you want to. Just hit my website and choose all you want. A nugget of wisdom that you might have missed, but I did not. If you recall last week, it was the 4th Tuesday. Remember, this week of July is the bonus week of the month. Typically, 4 weeks make a month, but every so often we get 5 weeks in a month, and this is one of them. The 4th Tuesday of the month in the second hour, we have the ever-popular Embedded Correspondence segment. And last week, we did what was a burger roundtable of sorts. And the burger roundtable from last week getting rave reviews, as you can only imagine, the brain trust that assembled in order to give burger knowledge second to none. And as the roundtable style show, typically they are the most popular, certainly no different from this one. A ton of great info that was shared. Some you might have never tried. Some you might have disagreed with. Whatever the case may be, all in all, a great segment and a half before we got into the legalese of Traeger versus Danson. And that being said, the one thing that stuck in my head while I was moderating this burger panel was the Burger Press comment that John Solberg, my Michigan correspondent, made. And after talking with him a bit more offline, I decided to pull the trigger and get one. That's right. It's a LEM, L-E-M, which I believe is how the company is actually named, L-E-M Burger Press. Shipped to me, it was less than $20. It's cast aluminum. They bill it as nonstick, but it's not that nonstick. I tried it right out, went to the local grocer, got a 3-pound bucket of already ground 80-20 beef, set the thickness on the patty to 1 inch, which I believe is as thick as this burger maker will make it, and went right to the Weber Genesis 2, medium heat, 4 minutes per side, top with cheese, delicious. And the benefit here, at least in my opinion, is the ease of use, and more importantly, when you talk to the pitmasters and the greatest competitors of all time, what are they looking for? Certainly an edge. I think the LEM press probably gives you an edge. But really what they're looking for and what makes them successful over and over is consistency. And that's what you get on each and every burger with the LEM press. They do not have any affiliation with the show. I'm just now a happy customer. Now 3 uses in. I do suggest using either parchment paper on either side of the burger to prevent sticking, because it will stick on and it sticks on the top, of course. Never stick on the bottom, which would be the easier of the sticks. Or get some burger sheets. I ordered the LEM, they called them freezer sheets. It was like $1,000 for very little money. So again, if I've piqued your interest, if you've always thought about getting a burger press, the LEM non-stick burger press. It's $24.99, sans the shipping. They actually have a model that's $1 some higher, $26, $27 that my pal Jason Kaplan got earlier today. That's a like a plunger or a press piston style. I probably should have got that, but I didn't see it. I don't know if it's going to make that much of a difference, but Jason's going to give me feedback when he gets it. I've made burgers 3 times already with it because it's fun. And the kids said they were great burgers. So if the girl, and I have girls. So if they say it's a great burger, the taste has nothing to do with the press, but the product it is helping me put out in the beginning of the process is a big component to the overall success of the end product. And having that consistent patty all the way through is great. So I bid my pal John Solberg a huge thanks. And of course, as we all know, anything that John suggests is relatively gold standard stuff. So again, if you are on the line or on the fence, I think it's lemproducts.com or something like that. Hit me up. I can give you the link if you're interested. Myron Mixon coming up out of the break. Let me talk to you quickly about what's coming in like a month and a half from now. The Hartville Hardware Grill Fest. Here we go. September 21st, 2019. It's a Saturday. It's all day. I will be arriving on scene at 09, maybe a little bit earlier. Get a little prep in. See my homegirl, Diva Q. Chatted up with her for a little bit as we game plan the lives. Also, hope at that point to meet whoever the Weber demonstrator is going to be. Do we know anybody that I can suggest that would be a great Weber demonstrator? I've only reached out to Kevin Coleman, and he's unavailable. But if you think there's somebody out there that is a good Weber Grills demonstrator, gas grill, hit me up on the email. I'll make that suggestion to them. They are open for Weber folk at the moment. And then the Big Green Egg side of things is going to be covered by local Cleveland private chef and chef to some athletic stars, Lisa Delgado. Never heard of her. Maybe I'll have her on before we actually get to September 21st. Hype it up a little. But again, the big draw, of course, aside from me emceeing the whole event, and we'll be going strong until maybe 4 or 5 o'clock. That would be late afternoon / early evening. I believe there's some type of food competition I'll be judging in as well. I think it's ribs maybe this year. Diva Q will be there pimping the Traeger demo side. So if you've always wanted to see Diva do classes in action and you're going to be around the semi-general area of Hartville, Ohio, which if you're in Cleveland is roughly, I don't know, an hour south and then east, let me know. We'll hang. Hartville Hardware 2019's Grill Fest. And it's the world's largest hardware store. So if you like hardware stores, you're going to like it. All right, Myron Mixon coming up. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting live from the Barbecue Central Show studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
This portion of the show being brought to you by Butcher Barbecue, makers of award-winning injections, marinades, rubs, seasonings, barbecue sauces, grilling oils, all of Butcher Barbecue products, tested on the competition circuit, as well as backyards worldwide, like my backyard. Be the pitmaster of your neighborhood. Visit butcherbbq.com to stock up now. Always trust your butcher. My guest in the first hour tonight, billed as the winningest man in barbecue. He also has penned a number of successful books, one of which we'll talk about a bit tonight. He has taught many a folk how to cook better barbecue at his home during his barbecue classes. You've seen him on TV, playing both expert guest, show host. He has the second most overall grand championships at Memphis in May, and the list goes on and on. Let's go ahead and race to the Fogo Charcoal Hotline. And welcome back friend of the show, Myron Mixon. Myron, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
Absolutely fabulous, Myron. Appreciate you making time for the show this evening. I know you're very busy. First things right off the bat, did you do a commercial for Sirius XM Yacht Rock Radio?
Yes, I sure did.
Wow. It's my favorite station in Sirius XM. Like, do you listen to the station, Myron?
Oh, yeah. Every vehicle I got, we got Sirius on there. My favorite is either 25 or 26 Classic. And I do the Classic Rewind. I do the Classic Vinyl. Those are my favorites.
Do you listen to any of the Yacht Rock at all, or are you kind of not into that?
Yeah, I listen to some of it. But, you know, I always gravitate back to what I was raised with, what I grew up with, listening to it.
No doubt about it. Myron Mixon joining us here on the show. Myron, last Sunday, I believe you ran into one of my cohorts, my Tennessee embedded correspondent, Steve Ray, as you were doing a cooking class down there, or doing some kind of an appearance. And he shot me some pictures, and I have to say, I've seen you on TV a number of times, a couple times in person, and this might be physically, appearance-wise, this might be the most fit I've seen a Myron Mixon. Is that the case?
That is right. You're correct.
Wow.
I was down in Chattanooga. Ace Hardware stores are carrying our products, my rubs, sauces. Some of them are carrying our smokers. Your buddy was there. We talked him into buying a smoker. Matter of fact, he bought a Myron Mixon H2O smoker, which I really appreciate. But getting to being fit, since August 8th last year, I've lost a little over 100 pounds.
Really?
And, worked out a diet that revolved around me being able to eat my barbecue and some grilled items, and adapted some of my sides and stuff to where it made it where I was very low carb, which that's really on the way you're going to lose some weight. You got to get the carbs away from you, and the sugars too. But, I'm in better shape now than I've been probably in 10 or 12 years.
Was there any precipitating health event where you were encouraged, or you just decided that this was the time you wanted to make a lifestyle change?
No, I mean, my blood pressure is always perfect. I go to my doctor twice a year. Nothing with cholesterol or any of that. It's just a problem of having a 2-ton body on a 1-ton chassis, like a good friend of mine, Jamie Gear, always says. And my knees and my joints really appreciated me when I dropped that weight.
Yeah, I mean, you've probably noticed a huge difference, right, overall?
Oh, yes, man. I mean, the thing is, you got more energy, you got more stamina. And the thing is, I hadn't even been to the gym yet. Now, I'm on, I've always done cardio a little bit, treadmilling, and that kind of thing. But it just makes it where you got more stamina. You got more, what the old folks say, you got more breath. I mean, you don't give out. And that makes a lot of difference when you're outside a lot and you're cooking a lot or doing anything a lot. Losing that weight and getting it off of it is the best thing. I went from 339 pounds. Right now, I weigh like 239 pounds.
Wow, are we going to see Myron Mixon in the CrossFit gym at some point?
No, I don't think you see Myron Mixon in the CrossFit gym, but I got I'm going to get on about 225. And that'll be the weight I want to get to. I don't want to look like too skinny of a barbecue man. I don't want to look like Tuffy. I want Tuffy. And I tell Tuffy all the time, I wish I could be that small because he can do anything. He's agile. He's in shape a lot better than I am. But I don't believe I could get down below 200.
Well, I mean, it's not like you're 5'6" and you're 225. I mean, you're 6 foot plus, so that's going to be a good fighting weight, I'd say.
I believe so. Like I say, it makes it easier getting out, especially in these Georgia sun when it's 100 degrees and you're sweating. At least you ain't got all that extra spare tire around your waist there bringing you down.
No doubt about it. We're talking with Myron Mixon from Jack's Old South. Some websites, jacksoldsouth.com, and, of course, MyronMixonSmokers.com if you want to check it out here while we're chatting it up. All right, let me ask you a topic that has been in and out of the show quite frequently, especially this year, and I've had some fairly large meat purveyors, Pat LaFrida being one of them, talking about this. I don't think it's a fad necessarily, but you see more and more infiltration of plant-based meat items. For instance, Beyond Burger, Impossible Burger, or Beyond Meat, Impossible Meat, it seem to be the two biggest ones by name. What do you know about these plant-based items? Are you a fan, and do you think this is something that is eventually going to go away, or do you think this is actually going to start to take over as a legitimate option?
I really don't know a lot about it. I mean, I know there's been a lot of, and I've eaten some of them, trying them. I'll try anything once. But the thing is, a lot of this is coming about because people want to be healthier. You got people are vegetarian, but they really have come a long way with it, making it where it actually tastes like meat. Me personally, I want the real deal. I want the Angus, the Wagyu beef. I want the, free range birds. I want, heritage breed pork. I don't want any imitation, but I mean, I love meat. I mean, I love the taste of meat. I love to cook it. But I understand people, some people don't want it. And, there's something for them, I guess, is doing this vegetable base or plant-based items. But to me, as well as they taste compared to what you used to see where they'd have all organic burgers and stuff like that, it was made out of whatever it's made out of. They're better than it used to be, but it's not as good in flavor as an Angus burger or a Wagyu burger. Nowhere close.
Is it something that you would consider as an option in your restaurant?
No.
No. All right. Fair enough.
No. I mean, I'm not against anybody that wants to eat those, but you're not going to get it at a Myron Mixon Pitmaster restaurant. We do barbecue. That's all we do. I mean, the closest thing you got to something, maybe it's non-barbecue on the menu, is we do our smoked wings, which is on the smoker. And then we drop them in the fryer. We take them about halfway on the smoker, and then we drop them in the fryer. That's as close as you're going to get to something that's not totally smoked.
Myron, let's talk about the restaurant business here for a moment. I mean, you're doing well with the restaurant you have now. You've been in some other type of entities here in the past that we've talked about. But just from a barbecue restaurant standpoint, and certainly there have been barbecue restaurants around forever and ever. But am I out of bounds to say that, even over the last 7 or 8 years, barbecue has never been more popular than it is now? You see it in the backyard. You're seeing it now with more craft barbecue restaurants that are popping up across the country. Obviously, the Texas base has been hugely popular here over the last couple of years. But how are you viewing the restaurant side of the industry?
The restaurant side, I said it 15 years ago, and today's more than ever. It's the hottest genre of food out there. I mean, it's still you have more barbecue restaurants opening up than just about any other type of food. And it's happening with people that not necessarily have those pedigrees and not bragging, but I was raised in it. And you got a lot of people that's in the barbecue business that was raised in it. I mean, I've been around since I was 9 years old. My dad's takeout barbecue business. But you got people that wasn't raised in it but just love it so much, they've got into it, and later in life they were a trained chef in another genre of type food. But they love the barbecue. They love the grilling. They love the smoking aspect of it. And they're getting in it. They're getting in it. And the thing you just mentioned is you got more and more people in the backyard. I teach barbecue classes, and used to, majority of the people that came to class wanted to learn to compete.
Yep.
Now, you still have some that want to do the competition side of it, but very few compared to the ones that want to get better in the backyard. And the truth be known, the best recipes or the best innovations in grilling and smoking are coming from the backyard smokers or the backyard cooks. They're the ones that's getting out there and pushing that envelope. Because in competition barbecue, end of the day, everybody's stuff that's competing wants it to taste the same. Everybody's trying to be or taste like the guy or gal that's up there winning, placing the top 3 every day. And they're getting to that point where it's like that. And but I think your innovative flavors, your innovative recipes for different ways to do proteins and sides is coming from the backyard. With that being said, that's pushing the restaurants being opened. That's pushing people to try restaurants in places that are not known for barbecue, which, in my opinion, is the best place to go. That's why we went to Alexandria and Old Town, basically D.C. You got people up there really like authentic barbecue. They have good jobs. The federal government ain't gonna go. It's not going out of business, and they eat out a lot. Which D.C. is. It's been got to be a food town. It's got some great food in D.C. And we're glad to be there. we're looking for other venues to go to that meets that profile. That's, a place that barbecue is still unique. People still pay for great barbecue. And you got a lot of people there that would do that. You got to have warm bodies, first off, to be able to make a restaurant succeed. I'm not knocking being in the South, born and raised. I love being a Southerner. But I've always said, I wouldn't put a restaurant south of the Mason-Dixon line. Because everybody down here has got a grill and got a smoker, and they got a certain price point in their head. It ain't regardless of what they make or how much money they're worth. They've been around it. If they're true Southerners and they're born and raised around it, that they're going to spend on eating barbecue. Mm-hmm. Now you got so many chain barbecue restaurants doing all you can eat ribs on Wednesday for $14 or whatever kind of stuff that is down here. You got to imagine how much, the quality of rib you're getting for $14 all you can eat. But the point is, you got to be somewhere that's unique, a lot of people, and you got to turn out a great product, and you can do well with a restaurant.
That's for barbecue, especially, Myron. It seems like the hardest part that would be something that you need to overcome is that weird holding period where, obviously the meat coming fresh off the pit is going to be the best, but if you're not at a peak point in whatever the serving time is and you got to go into a hold, that's really what makes or breaks the quality of the barbecue, right?
At my barbecue class, I have a lot of people coming that's wanting to get into barbecue restaurants. And matter of fact, we're setting up at our compound here. We're going to set up a kitchen that's kind of almost identical to our restaurant in D.C., where we're going to start teaching. It'll probably be next summer before we get it in. We may get it in by the end of this fall, but I don't see it happening. We've been working hard at it to lay out how to do restaurant barbecue. And I tell people all the time that comes to my class, I can teach you how to turn out great barbecue. I say that's not hard, and it's not hard. I tell people all the time, barbecue's a simple food. Yep. Follow the recipes, and you'll turn it out every time, and it will be perfect that time when you take it off the smoker. The money shot for a restaurant is when that barbecue comes off at 11 a.m. in the morning, getting ready for your lunch crowd at 12. Will your 9 o'clock meat that came off at 11 a.m. be just as good? Mm-hmm. Can you hold it? The key to it is holding it and how you prepare it to go out on the plate. That's your money shot. Anybody can learn to cook great barbecue and it'd be perfect when it comes off the pit right then when it's done. But the hard thing is to be able to hold that meat and make it great 3 or 4 or 5 hours later.
Myron Mixon joining me here on the show. Jack's Old South's pitmaster, of course, jacksoldSouth.com, MyronMixonSmokers.com, a couple websites here. Myron, let's transition a little bit here into, of course, the new book that was released earlier this year, May 7th, I believe. This is your 4th book. Is this an instance called BBQ&A? Is it your idea now to write books, or are publishers coming to you and saying, hey, we have a concept that we'd like to work with you specifically on? Is this something that we can put a deal together on? How does that work from a business standpoint?
Well, I've had publishers approach me about wanting me to write a certain type book, but every book I've written has been a book I wanted to do. And, I've got a publisher we work with, Abrams. And this is the book I wanted to do because I get asked a lot of questions at cook schools. I get a lot of questions asked over social media and the emails, and a lot of them are the same question. Not meaning that the question shouldn't be asked, and there's no dumb question of any sort, especially in barbecue. I learn something new every day, and I ask a lot of questions. But I kind of wanted to put it in a format of the most asked and the most requested questions, or the things that people want to know the most about a certain topic inside of grilling or smoking. And I put it in this book, and we laid it out very well with great pictures. We've got 90 recipes in the book. And, it's kind of like the cliff notes of barbecuing. You can go to that book. It's the way it's laid out. You can pull up a section or a category, and it'll give you the answer. And I'm proud of the book. It's been pretty cool. It's been very successful so far.
From a writing standpoint, is it your favorite one that you've written?
My favorite book I mean, I love them all.
Are they like kids?
Yeah, but my favorite book would probably be Barbecue Rules, my last book before this one, because it was about my dad and about the way he taught me how to cook, cooking on masonry pits, direct heat, shoveling coals, that style of cooking. And the only reason my favorite is sentimental. You know, I lost my dad in 1996, January. He was 56 years old.
Wow.
And I started competing in June of that year in 1996, so he never saw me compete. But he taught me everything I knew at that time, up to that time, about barbecue. I mean, and the thing is, the way I learned from him was the hardest way you possibly could. You know, shoveling coals, knowing when meat was done simply by looking, smelling, and feeling the meat. He didn't own a meat thermometer. He didn't own a gauge on a pit. We had 10 laying over the masonry pits. He could tell by putting his hands on that 10, you know, doing a 10 count, whether it needed to be fired or not. And he could touch that meat and feel that meat, whether it's chicken, you know, pork, beef, whatever. And he knew I was done, and I learned. You know, begrudgingly sometimes I learned because I'd rather be doing something else that most young kids or teenagers or young adults wanted to do. But I learned. And when I started competing, using gauges and meat thermometers and cooking with water cookers, that was like spitting off a train. That was easy, you know, because Jack Mixon had shown me, you know, how to do it. What I would say is the right way. You don't see anybody cooking like that much anymore. You know, one thing is you have to burn up a whole forest of wood to be able to get the coals you need to do that kind of cooking. It's not a small footprint type of cooking. And the next thing is it is truly fire management. I mean, you're doing true fire management and doing true pitmaster stuff, quotations, because you can't just set the dial and you can't just go in and damper down if you overload it. If you overload them pits, you're going to burn down not only the pit, but probably the building it's in. You know, you really got to be you really got to be a pitmaster. And that's the way I learned. I'm not saying nobody else can do it. There's others can do it too that were taught, but it just made it easier for me when I got to cooking with our H2Os, our water cookers, and had the gauges and you had the thermal pins. And, you know, it's like, I said, damn, I said, I wish my dad could have knew some of this stuff, which he wouldn't have. I probably think Jack Mixon would probably put his foot in my ass now if he saw the way I cook and all the stuff I'm doing now.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, given all the advancements and things that everybody using, I mean, he probably wouldn't be that big of a fan if he was teaching you the way he was teaching you.
No, he wouldn't be. He'd be, my dad was a big believer in if it wasn't hard work and didn't about kill you to do it, then you wasn't working. You know, he didn't want anything easy. But that's just the way he was built.
Do you have any inkling on what he would say to you, you know, if he was able to run into you on the street and say, hey, you know, I've been watching you when you started in 96 and we've seen you become the quote-unquote winningest man in barbecue. How do you think that would strike him? Would he really kind of revel in that, in your success, or not so much?
I think my dad would be proud of me. Just our relationship, and I love my dad, he loved me, but he wasn't one of these touchy-feely, hug you type dads. He would tell everybody else how proud he was of me, but to me, he'd be telling me to get my head out my ass and get back to work. Real job.
When you are having kids yourself, do you find yourself being more of a touchy-feely dad, or are you more of a Jack Mixon type?
More so than my dad was, but I'm still I catch myself a lot of times being a lot like my dad, and I've realized you can't get away from it. If you've been around that all your life, it's hard to change. But I try to make it a point to be closer to my kids and be more accessible to my kids. You know, I don't want to be as intimidating to them as I was intimidated by my dad sometimes. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not one of these guys blaming all my, you know, problems on my dad didn't love me and all that crap. You know, I don't, and I'm not saying that crap in a bad way. I'm sure people had some problems with their parents maybe, but I wasn't one of them.
Sure.
You know, I looked at it like this. My daddy didn't put nothing on us, you know, that me and my brother couldn't tote. Either, you know, whatever he gives you or whatever you get in life, he's either going to kill you or make you stronger, you know, one way or the other.
Do you find that, having that kind of a relationship, so when you get into the competition scene and then he's not there, do you find that you do have a drive, if you step back and take a look at it, that, you are competing for him to show your dad that, hey, I can do this and I'm the best at the craft? Is that a driving factor?
Oh, yeah. When I was doing 40 contests a year, and, I did that for like 15 years in a row, there was a big part of that where, I was doing it to show him, even though he wasn't around. And I wanted to prove that I was the best at what I was doing, because he was always the best at whatever he did. I mean, he could do a lot of stuff. He's a jack of all trades, not only in Jack being his name, but he was a jack of all trades. And everybody that lives down there where we're at, they knew that. Yeah. I mean, you do it. I mean, anybody says they don't want the parents to be proud of them, they're not being truthful about that. So that was a big driving force for me. You want to be the best that you can be in anything, but, back in my mind, I was trying to impress my dad.
Myron Mixon joining me here on the show. Myron, can I hold you over for one more segment? We can talk about the water smokers and maybe a little Memphis in May.
Sure.
All right. Hanging on. We're talking with Myron Mixon, Jack's Old South. JacksOldSouth.com and MyronMixonSmokers.com. We're going to talk about the smokers here in just a second. I'll talk to you quickly about the longest running sponsor of the show, the Barbecue Guru. They've always believed that outdoor cooking should be easy and fun, because it can be, especially with the line of Barbecue Guru products. Probably another thing that Jack Mixon would probably be outraged by, these automatic temperature controllers. They also have their new ceramic cooker that's been out for a little bit, called the Monolith Barbecue Guru Edition Grill. What's unique about this particular ceramic cooker is that it has a built-in power draft fan already built into the cooker. So if you already have a Barbecue Guru controller, you don't need a new controller. You can run your controller right to the bottom of the fan, and away you go. If you're not familiar with automatic temperature control technology, you can visit the website, bbqguru.com. They go on ceramic cookers. They go on bullet-style cookers, kettle-style grills. They can evenly go on some certain sizes of stick burners as well. Not the huge ones, probably, but medium-sized ones. If you have any questions, you call them, 800-288-GURU. That's 800-288-GURU. And you can be the pitmaster while the Monolith and the Barbecue Guru controller does the work of a sous chef. Tastiest, juiciest meals each and every time. It's consistency, bbqguru.com or 800-288-GURU. We are back with more Myron Mixon right after this. Stick around. I'll be right back.
Continuing to produce incredibly mediocre content in an exceptionally professional way. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rampey.
And this portion of the show being brought to you by CookinPellets.com, your number one source for quality wood pellets for all your pellet-driven cookers. You visit CookinPellets.com for more information or to purchase. You can also buy it from Amazon.com as well. But as Chris Becker said last week, look at the dealers first to get the best price. That's CookinPellets.com. Myron Mixon joining us here on the Barbecue Central Show. Myron, appreciate you hanging with me through the break there. And let's talk a little bit about the cookers, the Myron Mixon cookers. Of course, I think it's a well-known thing. If anybody knows anything about you and your particular wiles of cooking, you love the water-style cookers. And I actually had a question from somebody on Facebook that said that they were incredibly surprised that the H2O cookers can set up bark tremendously quick. They didn't think that that was actually going to be a feature that cooker provided. So if you could talk a little bit about the cookers and what you think makes them unique and why somebody might want to consider one if they're in the market.
Well, Myron Mixon smokers, we've been building our own line of smokers here going close to 7 years now. Yep. And we build them all right here in the USA in our plant in Connecticut and Waterford. I go up there about once a month now. And our first one off the line, I've been cooking with water cookers since 1996. And first thing I found out about the water cookers was, I had the same reservations when I started competing with them. Will it do the bark? Yes, it will do the bark. I mean, you got the water pan that's actually beneath the meat It's boiling, it's steaming, it's keeping water, moisture inside that cook chamber. But you also got the vents on either side of the water pan. It's allowing the heat and it's allowing the smoke that's coming in from the firebox, to surround that meat, and it's putting a bark to it. And the thing that's cool about the bark there, it is a pliable bark, but it's a bark. It's not that crusty, sometimes you get it on a dry heat smoker or an offset where it's something you got to discard because you can't actually chew it. You done got it a little too overcooked on the outside or a particular area. And another thing the water cookers do for you, they cook evenly. If you move that fire tray into the center of that pan, that water pan disperses heat. It disperses the heat and makes it cook evenly in all four corners of the smoker. You have no cold spots. You have no hot spots. Even moist, consistent barbecuing going on with the moisture inside the cook chamber and with the vents providing the smoke. It's pretty cool, top to bottom.
And it's
been doing it a long time. But the thing about the water cookers are, it comes back into fire management. They're stick burners. You can't run these smokers with charcoal. You got to have the stick burner. You got to be using sticks of wood, and you got to regulate because they're heavily insulated, top to bottom. I can take my 72-inch smoker, which we do in competitions now, KCBS. It's also our hog cooker, your standard hog cooker. I can take 3 sticks of wood, and I've got it up to 300 degrees and maintain it. That's pretty awesome. That's pretty tight. And but I also know everybody's not into wanting to get into that, fire management. We talked about that a while ago with the shoveling the coals and doing old school like my dad. That's why we came out with our own line of our gravity feeds, charcoal cookers, which we recommend also with the Gurus, just like everybody else's gravity feeds. Also, we come out with our own line now this year of our pellet cookers. And, that's even more set it and forget it for those that don't want to get involved with not even lighting charcoal off. They got the bags of pellets, load the hopper. It's as easy as you can do as far as barbecuing. But me personally, I love the water cookers. I always have. They're more forgiving, and they allow you to cook faster and keep without compromising the quality of the finished product. That moisture, that steam inside that cook chamber allows you to do 4 and 5 hour, 18-pound briskets and having them done and ready to go. That's what we use in our restaurant in Alexandria, Virginia. We use a 72XC, no gas assist, all stick burn.
From a moisture, I apologize for the lag there, but I was trying to think of the best way to ask this. There's water cookers out there. For instance, the very first cooker that I ever got that got me into this whole thing was a Weber Smoky Mountain. There's a water pan that sits over the charcoal bowl. I think it's important. So I think there's a common misconception when you're using a Weber Smoky Mountain, and if you're putting water in the bowl, a lot of people will sub out water and they'll put sand, put foil over it, and they're just using it as a heat sink. But a lot of people think that if there's water in the bowl, it's adding all of this humidity to the cooking chamber, which is more or less a fallacy. But because the water isn't at a rolling boil, but in your H2O cookers, it's exactly the opposite. I mean, you are at a rolling boil because you're right over the fire, correct?
Correct. And I tell people this also. A lot of people's got offsets, and they, ask me at cook school and some of the questions in BBQ&A. If I slide a water pan in there, is it going to give me the benefit like with your H2O? And the answer is no. I mean, I'm not sitting there trying to sell smokers, but if you don't bring the water to a boil and get that steam going into the cook chamber, then just having a pan of water in there is not going to do the job for you. You got to have it rolling, to be able to get the benefits from having steam and moisture inside that cook chamber. It's got to happen that way. And to do that, you got to have a flame hitting the bottom of that pan. It's the only way you're going to get it done. That's why charcoal won't do it. You got to have a flame kissing the bottom of your water pan, being able to boil and steam that water.
Let's talk about the pellet cooker just for a second, Myron. Do you think, just from a segment of the market, is this going to be the fastest growing portion, at least for the foreseeable future, not only for you, but for all the other pellet cookers, you think?
Oh, for sure. Because I have got a lot of people that's coming to class. When I tell you got more and more people in the backyard compared to people who want to do competitions. Competition world don't take long to cover that. What do you got? 15,000 cook teams in the country, any given time. It don't take a lot to cover all those folks. The biggest majority is the tens of millions of people in their backyard want to get better at that. And the thing is, you got a lot of them that don't want to concentrate and take up a lot of their time learning fire management. You got some that want to, but you got a lot of them that don't want to. They want to concentrate more on the recipes, on the technique, on, the different things I can do with this protein, the sausage stuffed bacon wrapped tenderloin. We call it the triple P, or doing something similar to that, bacon wrapped doves or whatever. I want to focus on my recipes and my method of preparing the meat, making my rubs and sauces. I don't want to have to worry about cutting my wood in different pieces and lengths to make sure I put the right size on it and to maintain my temp at whatever temperature it is I want to run. I want to be able to hit that dial or go over at the most on my gravity feed and set my guru to the temp I want, and that's all I want to do. Then I can focus on cooking my meat till it's done. I ain't got to worry about managing a fire.
Are they missing out on something there, though, Myron? I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm an old school guy either, but I think there's a romance to learning that whole thing in the beginning. And then if you want to move on from there, I mean, I have a Lang stick burner. I had a close stick burner. I mean, I know how to start and maintain and keep a fire, but I also have 3 different pellet cookers and, a number of other accoutrements. But to me, I think there is almost an inherent responsibility of somebody to learn fire management. It almost seems to go hand in hand with barbecue.
And I would agree with you. I mean, I was born and raised in it, and I feel like, me personally, that's something that everybody ought to at least entertain and try it a couple of times. If they don't even buy a stick burner, but they ought to go and find their neighbor or somebody to let them use one.
Yeah.
But you've got a generation of people coming into it. They love the barbecue lifestyle. They love being out in the wide open or on their deck or around the pool, and they love the cooking part of it, and they love the prepping and working on the recipes, and then they run the blender making up whatever new glaze or sauce. But they're not as excited about, I want to go out here and split wood, buy wood, that type of thing.
Yeah.
And and I ain't gonna say I understand it, but I mean, to each his own. I mean, you got that group of people that that's the way they want to do their barbecue.
Sure.
They don't want to have to learn how to cook with stick wood or cook on an H2O. They don't want to have to shovel coals. They want to pour a bag of pellets in a hopper or fill up a hopper with charcoal and set the guru or turn the knob on the pellets and start cooking.
Are these pellet cookers also made up in, is everything made in Connecticut then?
Every bit of it. All is made in the U.S. of A. Every bit of it, right there in our plant. The pellet cookers are made right beside, going down our line up there in our plant, right next door to the H2Os and right next door to our gravity feeds.
Myron Mixon Smokers is the website if you want to check it out, .com, jacksouldsouth.com. We're talking with Myron Mixon. Myron, let's switch gears a little bit and talk about one of your favorite events. I guess I'm saying that on my own. I would assume it's one of your favorite events. The Memphis in May competition was obviously a handful of months ago, and you are second most in overall grand championships there. Chris Lilly is currently, I think, 1 ahead of you. He might have 5, and I think you have 4 overall.
Right.
Right. What's your thought on Memphis in May at this point? Is that something where you still want to compete at the highest level in order to meet and then ultimately get past Chris, or what does Memphis in May mean to you now versus a younger Myron Mixon?
Well, the younger Myron Mixon in the day was cooking 40 to 45 contests a year, and I'd rather compete than breathe. And I still love going to Memphis in May. To me, it's the ultimate in barbecue, especially because it's the only championship, or really the only place you can go and cook a whole hog now in any type of barbecue contest, other than doing the Memphis Barbecue Network. But it's the only world championship out there where you can select hog to be your category. And I love cooking whole hogs. So yeah, I mean, I want to win as many of them as I possibly can, and I get psyched up for it. But I used to do 40, 45. Now I get to do 3 or 4, maybe 5 contests a year. And so I tell people this all the time: you're not going to be as sharp doing 3 or 4 contests a year as it used to be when you was doing 40, 45 of them. They just don't happen that way.
You know, part of the thing that makes Memphis in May unique is that on-site judging. Certainly there's the blind portion, which you have to make sure that you're hitting your marks in order to continue to move on, but you do have that on-site judge portion. And I love to ask, you know, the guys that are winning, and, you know, it's typically a pretty high-line pitmaster that's winning. It's a Tuffy Stone, it's Chris Lilly, it's you, it's Melissa Cookston. It's everybody that you've seen on television, it seems, has won that here over the last decade or so. When they show up in a Myron Mixon site, and you have to be, more than perhaps anybody, the most recognizable of everybody there, do you feel that you are at an advantage because not only do you have the breadth of experience behind you and all the GCs, but you do have television experience? You know what it's like to operate under pressure, and television is certainly a different pressure than normal competition. Or do you feel that you have to work even harder because they might be holding or grinding a little bit of an axe going, well, here's this asshole who's been on television and he thinks he's just going to be able to charm us and he's going to have to do something over the top in order to get my vote?
But more the second that you just mentioned.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, you got some great judges, and I'm not saying those judges, the ones that, think an asshole, he's going to have to really impress me. I've had judges in the last 5 years at the World Championship. They came back, had one judge, and I remember it. But, you can't, anybody could have got that judge. Came back and told me you were my best I had today, but I expected more from you. And I'm like, a younger Myron Mixon might have handled that a lot different than an older Myron Mixon. And I get that a little bit. I mean, not necessarily that as much as expect more out of me, or, they see you on TV, they think I'm Mr. Big Shot and I'm going to bring you down to size. And that's one of the problems you run into sometimes with your on-site judging, because, you would like to think your food is what's getting judged, but they're standing in front of you. They're standing in front of you, and that's subjective. It's not a finish line. I mean, you don't have a finish line. You stepped across and they got a photo finish and they took a picture and they saw your foot go across that line. This is all opinion. It's about whether they're supposed to like your food or not like your food. But sometimes other things play into it, and that's just human nature. But everybody's got the same advantage or disadvantage. I mean, I'm sure there's judges that don't like Chris or don't like Tuffy, and everybody's up against that. But the thing about it is, I had a good friend of mine, Pat Burke, told me a long time ago, bitching and complaining about contests. He looked at me, and this was my younger days. He said, well, you got 2 options, Myron. He said, you can either go cook it or you can stay home. I chose to go cook it. So that's the way that works.
Myron Mixon joining me here on the show. A couple last questions here before I tune you loose here tonight, Myron. I appreciate the time. If we could talk a little bit about where the state of barbecue on television is concerned. There's going to be a new barbecue show coming out August 1st on the Food Network, but I believe you're kind of in a couple different barbecue television type things yourself. So what do you have going on? And then we can cover more of a general question after that.
We've been approached to do a couple of pilots, talking to Netflix about doing some stuff. And I got approached, or you get phone calls all the time, and I'm sure everybody else does that's been on TV with barbecue shows. They're very vague about the shows. They want to know what you consider or whatever. And, a lot of folks would probably say, yeah, I'll do whatever it is. And I'm past that. And the reason I'm saying that, not thinking I'm too good for stuff, I love being on TV. It helps sell my products. I like a good show that's got good content, but I don't want to do stuff that's silly. I don't want to do something for the sake of just being on TV and it be a one and done deal. To me, the ultimate in barbecue shows, and not just because I was on it, the only one that ever stuck was the format in Barbecue Pitmasters. That's the one that stuck. I love season 1. I love competing and doing all that kind of stuff. But the format that really took off and really made that last and had longevity from 2007 to 16 was the 3 judges and the contestants in front of those judges, kind of like a chop or whatever. That stuck. That format stuck. And I think, I don't know what this new show is that's coming out this week. I believe it is, or next week, what that format is, but I believe it's going to be on the lines of that. I've seen a lot of the networks trying different things with barbecue, and I always kept saying, why in the world don't somebody just rip off Pitmasters and do that again and call it something else? Because it worked. It worked, and people love that show. People love the reruns of Pitmasters. Yeah. And it was just a great concept.
So do you think that we will ever see another phenomenon that is like Barbecue Pitmasters again in our lifetime, or has that ship sailed potentially?
That I don't know. I like to think it hadn't sailed. I like to be part of another great barbecue show. But the thing about it is you got to have the networks, not necessarily the networks. You got to have these people at the networks. Most of them are in their 20s and 30s to get behind a good show like that. I tell people all the time, they try to structure all these shows towards millennials. And my kids are millennials. They ain't got no damn money. You need to be structuring your shows towards folks like mine and your age, Greg, has got some money to spend on things and buy things. That's where your advertising dollars need to be going to. How many 20-year-olds you see getting into the damn competition barbecue world? That takes a lot of money to do that.
Yes.
How many 20-year-olds, can afford to buy Yeti coolers or Gurus or Thermopens and all this they can't.
Right.
So you need to be going after those 35-year-old and plus, because that generation, mine and your generation, we got the disposable income to buy these things. We got the disposable income to go out and get into the barbecue world. We got the money to go out on our back deck and buy a $6,000 Myron Mixon smoker. Millennials ain't got that.
Nope.
So I don't understand a lot of times, maybe I ain't the sharpest pencil in the box, but I know about making money, and I know my market. I know my demographics. I know the people that they like what I do, and they like the things that I do. And, you got to go after the ones that really enjoy barbecue. Most millennials don't. They're too busy doing whatever that millennials doing now. The people that love to barbecue and love it and love to go eat barbecue out a lot are our age group.
Mm-hmm.
So I think people need to sit back that's making those decisions on the shows and on the networks. They need to sit back and think about that aspect of it.
Myron Mixon breaking it all down.
I'll just ask you this question.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question right now, Greg. Do you think you got a bunch of 18 and 19-year-olds listening to your show?
I know for a fact that I don't.
No, but what I'm saying is, what's your demographic? The demographic me and you just talked about.
Yeah, we have the same demographic.
Exactly. Because the people we're listening to are enthused by it, and if they want to pull the trigger on a smoker or some exotic woods or whatever, or buy some rubs, they can do that.
Yep.
They can do that. So,
Myron Mixon breaking it all down here. He is the pitmaster of Jack's Old South, jacksoldSouth.com, MyronMixonSmokers.com. Myron, I appreciate all of the time you've given me this evening. It is always such a great pleasure for me, and I know for my listening audience when you spend some time with us, and I certainly appreciate the candor this evening especially. Continued success, my friend. We'll do it again soon.
Well, thank you, Greg. I want to tell everybody listening, if they would, I run my own social media. They'll follow me on Instagram, Myron Mixon, and at Twitter, Lord of Q. They got any questions or anything, be glad to answer them.
All right. Appreciate it, Myron.
All right, brother. Bye.
There he is, Myron Mixon. He was off that phone, too, by the way. No joking around. I'm out. That's Myron Mixon if you need him. Again, the website, jacksoldSouth.com, MyronMixonSmokers.com. And he hit it right on the head. I think Well, now that I think about it, I think Angel listens to the show. The steak cooking champ over in Hartsville. She's 17. So I have one in that demographic. But I know my kids don't hardly ever listen to me. That's all right. All right. That was Myron Mixon. We are getting ready to point to the second hour. He appeared via the Fogo Charcoal hotline, fogocharcoal.com. So refresh your libations, and we will build into the second hour. You are listening and watching the Barbecue Central show right here on the Barbecue Central Network. Stick around. I'll be right back.
This is Terry House from the Talkback Fans Podcast, and you're listening to the Barbecue Central Show with the incomparable host, Greg Rempe.
Happy to have you aboard here for the really big barbecue show.
Boing. We cook because we have to, and we grill because we want to. Hit me!
Fine, how's it going?
You have a great show. I'm a big fan.
Boing.
So what seems to be the problem here? This man looks like he's dead and he's in the crackle.
Charbono! It's all about the charbono, dude!
Succulent fish. What?
He ate 54 wieners.
Oh, listen, Liberty, shut your face.
I'm shaking like a dog shit pea seed.
We have top men working on it right now. Top men.
Boing. Hit me! Boing.
All right, just like that, we are into the second hour. Welcome, everybody. You have found the Barbecue Central show. And we do it live here each and every Tuesday. If you missed the first hour, shame on you. You missed Myron Mixon, a whole hour of them almost. Aside from my opening jaunts, setting the show up, the show open, if you will. It's a term we use in the biz. I'm not actually in the biz, but I'd like to say that to make you think I'm in the biz. It's a term we use in the biz. 2-0, damn it. So if you missed Myron Mixon, you can go back starting tomorrow or at 11:55 this evening and grab the replay on podcast. And it was a great overall interview. We covered a lot of different things. We covered the book. We've covered his physical fitness. Covered Memphis in May. We covered his dad. We covered why he was competing. It was great. Very open, very honest. Didn't dodge any questions. And I always say if you've only known Myron from the Pitmaster shows, then you probably think he might be baggy. And when you hear him, I say, well, you can't go back and search his appearances on my show, and that's the person that you're talking to. That's the person that you're dealing with. So hopefully, if this is the first time you've heard him outside of a show, you realize that typically who you're seeing on the television is a gimmicked up version, if you will. Somebody that realizes there's a role to be played, and he plays it very well. So you can go back and get it in like an hour and 45 minutes or 2 hours or whatever. Or just get it tomorrow. First hour is always up on Wednesday. Second hour up on Thursday. Still to come on this show this evening, Mitch Benjamin of Meet Mitch and Shawn Walchef of Cali Comfort BBQ closing it out. Don't forget you can follow me socially at BBQ Central Show on Instagram and Twitter, /BBQ Central Show on Facebook. You can also get a video feed there. You can get one on YouTube Live as well. Coming up this Friday on the best moments of the BBQ Central Show in 10 minutes or less, proudly put together by my Michigan correspondent, John Solberg. Episode 83, taking you all the way back to 2012. And this, according to executive producer John Solberg, was a show topic sent in through the listener request line. That's right. If you enjoy the Best Moments shows each and every Friday, and there is a show that you kind of remember or you remember a date, and you would like John to fashion it into a Best Moments show, all you have to do is send him an email, John, Jon, at thebbqcentralshow.com, and he will go about executing his best efforts on making your request a show in an upcoming episode. And he said that show 83 is from a request line requests, to be redundant. He was on the show a few weeks ago talking about his grandfather, C.B. Stubblefield, making it into the Barbecue Hall of Fame, that being Rocky Stubblefield. Rocky first surfaced on this show back in 2012, and this show is what it sounded like when he came into this onto the show for the first time. And yes, it is a John Solberg patented doubleheader show. So make sure that you are subscribed to the podcast, because if you're not and you don't show up to the website every day, you're probably going to miss it. All right, folks, it's official. I'm old, and here's why. Brought to you by your friends at CNN.com. Fortnite. How many of you even know what the hell I just said? Fortnite. Maybe you have kids. Maybe they play Fortnite. Maybe you don't have any idea what Fortnite is other than a spanned time of measurement. Huh, we spent a fortnight in the weeds. Woods. We spent a fortnight in the woods, I tell you. Fortnite gives away $3 million to its first ever solo world champion, a 16-year-old from Pennsylvania, beating out other pros and famous streamers. Kyle Booga Giersdorf, 16, made a name for himself by dominating the first round and ultimately taking home the $3 million grand prize for individual players. That's the largest ever payout in a single-player esports tournament. And this is where I become old. And perhaps more specific, what the hell is esports? Esports? How does one person determine what is a sport and what is not a sport? Are we allowed to just say that if there is a winner at the end of something, then that is a sport, no matter what the conditions are? So sitting in front of a computer screen for 8 to 12 hours a day qualify as a sport because that's what Booga did to earn a prize. He sat in front of a computer screen or maybe a big-ass television screen for 8 to 12 hours a day playing Fortnite. And don't get me wrong here. I'm not begrudging him his money. Get paid however you can get paid. I firmly believe that. But can we please start getting more specific with what we're calling sports? I've said it time and time again, and now I think we should make a movement to qualify sports and skills. To me, sports are physical activity. Pro sports are those elite humans that can perform at a level that 95, 96, 97% of us cannot. Certainly, Pandora's box will open when we start talking about what is a sport and what isn't a sport. but we can all agree that video gaming is not a sport, right? Parents are constantly bitching about their kids sitting in front of screens and on their phones and doing everything but being outside, gaming literally all day long. They don't socialize, they're fat. The list goes on. So now, with Booga making $3 million off a Fortnite run, will they now encourage their kids to play harder, play longer, stay up longer, get in the basement, Jimmy? If you don't play that game for 8 hours minimum, no food for you. Go play your game and win me that cash. I mean, win you that cash. You think travel sports parents are bad? Because I've been around them for years. I can only imagine when the first edition of Gamer Parent turns up. Can you imagine this creep? Are we going to see gamer travel teams in the next year or so? It's not too far-fetched, and here's why. In Asia, there are gamer training facilities. That's right. If you are identified as having exceptional gaming talent, whatever the hell that is, you could get picked to go into this facility, kind of like how the Olympics take talent, like pluck them from their hometowns and then stick them down in Texas or wherever they groom those athletes for their respective sports. Except, well, in this case, it's video games. Look, it's obviously popular, right? I'm obviously old, right? It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. That 16-year-old punk that won $3 million, and yes, I'm jealous, played in front of thousands and thousands of people. Played at Arthur Ashe Tennis Stadium. They're building esports arenas. Multi-billion-dollar industry. But it's not a sport. $13 million is not, I'm sorry, $3 million doesn't make it a sport. Doesn't make it a sport. I'll expect your reaction. If you have a talented gaming son or daughter, I would imagine your emails of venom will be coming first. Meet Mitch coming up out of the break. Let me talk to you quickly about Southside Market and Barbecue. Established in 1882, Southside is the oldest barbecue joint in Texas and has been owned and operated by the same family for 3 generations. Famous for the original beef sausage that's coarse ground in a natural pork casing. They also are known for the authentic Central Texas barbecue. All meats, including the prime briskets, are smoked low and slow for many hours over Texas post oak wood. They ship nationwide via the online store, SouthsideMarket.com. They also ship fresh and smoked sausages nationwide. Shipping customers can choose to order now and ship later, include a custom gift note, and mail to multiple addresses without additional charges. All shipped items are vacuum sealed to ensure freshness and ease of preparation for the customer. Shipped with dry ice to ensure complete freshness upon arrival. Very important. All meats processed in that on-site USDA facility. They have on-site meat markets for fresh and smoked products. Custom orders are welcome as well. 2 restaurants if you want to eat. Elgin, Texas since 1882 and Bastrop, Texas since 2014. Grocery distribution through Texas and many surrounding states. 10% off coupon if you want to order online at SouthsideMarket.com. Use code BBQ Central at checkout. That's BBQ Central, all one word, lowercase. Go to SouthsideMarket.com. And you'll get 10% off your order. Not just the first order. All orders, as I say each and every week. BBQ Central at checkout. All right, Meet Mitch coming up. Stick around. We'll be right back.
The only show giving you a monthly visit from a doctor of barbecue. a man actually named Meathead, the author of a barbecue Bible, bloggers, reviewers, competitors, and manufacturers by the dozens. It's the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
This portion of the show being brought to you by Fireboard. Monitor up to 6 different temperatures simultaneously. Connect to Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. Wi-Fi for the cloud-based monitoring, of course. If you have Alexa or the Google Assistant, you're in luck. Fireboard, fully integrated with both. You can find out more by visiting fireboard.com or call 816-945-2232. Yeah. My first guest in the second hour, steadily taking over the barbecue scene in recent years. A quick look at his offerings on his website. You know, he's very diverse, meeting a lot of barbecue needs. Here to break down some barbecue with me is the creator of the Meet Mitch line of barbecue products. We race to the Fogo Charcoal Hotline and welcome back Mitch Benjamin to the show. Mitch, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing great, Greg. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
No doubt about it. Appreciate you making time for the show this evening. So as we quickly look at our watch, Mitch, it's been 7 years since you have been on the show. Can't believe how fast time
has it really?
Can you believe it? It was 2012, so we're almost a year to the date. And
my appearance fee has gone way up since then.
Well, luckily, I've been making bags and bags of cash along the way, so I can certainly meet any appearance fee that is required. So let me not be naive and think that everybody has heard of you or gone back through my extensive archives. If we could just get a little high-level shot of Mitch Benjamin and Meet Mitch when you got into it, and then we'll take it from there.
Yeah, so Meet Mitch is a barbecue competition team that I guess we started in 2002 at the American Royal. I live in Kansas City, so that's our stomping grounds, and so I guess 17 years competing there, and about 8 years ago, when you and I were first introduced, I started an online website selling sauces, selling competition-style meats over the internet, and then in 2014 branched into a restaurant here in Kansas City called Char Bar, and just have continued to ride the barbecue wave really the last 17 years. It's been most of my life, everything that I love and my passion, and have got to had the opportunity to do a million crazy fun things, from Derek Jeter's retirement party in New York Yankee Stadium to Barstool Sports, Royals games, you name it. We really have had an opportunity to do amazing things. And the last 8-9 years in a row at Memphis in May, and all of our friends there, and it's just, the community is just amazing. As you know, I mean, you preach it every week. It's family, it's fun, and it's addictive. I love it.
Do these opportunities, I mean, you just kind of rattle them off like they happen to everybody, but do these unique opportunities come to you through people knowing the product and they like it, so they just want you to be a part of it, or they want to be associated with you, or how does doing a Derek Jeter's retirement party happen, or something along these lines?
Yeah, well, we've had the opportunity. I'm good friends with George Brett, who obviously is a Hall of Fame baseball player here in Kansas City and an icon. And he introduced me to guys at the Royals, and I had them over to my house for barbecues and whatnot. And they said, "Hey, Mitch, why don't you come and cook for the players?" I'm like, "Done. Let's do it right now."
right.
So I started doing games and started doing the home team and the away team, and I'd have 3 guys on one side and 3 guys on the other. And then the 2012 All-Star game happened. That may be when I talked to you last in Kansas City, and actually had Rod Gray help me out to make sure that I didn't screw it up. And he ran one side, and together we ran the other side, and with my team, and it was just a ball. It introduced me to tons of players and teams and team managers, and then I was asked to to come to Yankee Stadium. I'm like, yeah, you bet, man. And so we flew there and did that, and got to do Fox and Friends and go to the set of the Today Show and do all these kinds of different things and unique experiences. And it just, from one to another, as you meet people and grow and expand your brand and introduce people to barbecue in different marketplaces, doors just open up, and it's been a heck of a ride.
When you look back over the last 7 years, as you had mentioned, when we had talked in 2012, the sauce was kind of coming out, and it probably wasn't a burgeoning company, but maybe it was kind of a little bit of a burgeoning company. So as you look back,
Just in my mind, that's it.
Of course. Are you surprised that we're here in 2019 and you have experienced the success within this subculture that you have?
Surprised. I guess it's happened so fast. It's hard to be surprised. I mean, I'm joyful. I'm happy about it, and I really appreciate everything that it's given me. And it's fun, really, to watch barbecue grow. And I listened to Myron's earlier segment, through television. I think it's really expanded it, especially overseas. And that's one of the things that really impacted my life this year, was an opportunity to go over and live in Paris, France, the first, part of all of March and April and part of May, and open up a barbecue restaurant and see what it was like to feed Kansas City burnt ends to people that didn't know what they were putting in their mouth, and to be there every day and every night. And it was just a really, really cool situation and opportunity.
I want to get to that here in a few minutes here, Mitch, but we're talking with Mitch Benjamin from Meet Mitch, by the way, the website, if you're interested in taking a look at what he's got, meetmitch.com. When we had spoken last time, Mitch, you still had a day job. Are you at a point now where Meet Mitch is full-time and you're totally invested in that, or do you still have a day gig?
It is full-time. So I worked for TaylorMade Golf Company as a golf rep for 21 years. Opened Char Bar in 2014, and that really has been an amazing experience. And then set my sights on restaurant number 2, and in doing so left the golf industry a couple of years ago and have been full-time concentrating on barbecue.
So let's talk about the restaurant industry. When I talked about it with Myron Mixon a little bit ago, and I'm interested to get your take on it. Obviously, barbecue restaurants are, I guess, what would seem to be at an all-time high, opening up all over the place. Kansas City style, Texas style, of course, Carolina style, certainly. What do you think is the draw right now for folks they really seem to be all in, totally invested in not only trying to find these like craft-made barbecue restaurants, not the chain crap, but really good stuff. But they also want to emulate it in their own backyards as well. What do you think the draw in is?
Well, I think Myron nailed it. I mean, what do you say? There's 15,000 competition teams, but then there's just millions and millions of backyard warriors that want to go out there and emulate the Myrons of the world that they see on TV. And I just think that they crave barbecue. It's an American pastime per se. It's, like he said, popping up all over the United States, and there's different kinds. We like to think that Kansas City is kind of the best of all of them. And, really the competition style barbecue restaurant, especially in Kansas City, has really been burgeoning. I mean, if you look at Jeff Staney, who started Joe's Kansas City, maybe 12, 14, 15 years ago now, 16 years ago? I don't know. I'm getting old, dude. So, he was started as a competition barbecue company of Slaughterhouse 5.
Yeah.
And then when I opened in 2014 with Char Bar, you saw Rob McGee open Q39, competition barbecue guy. You saw a year later Joe Pierce open Slaps, competition barbecue guy. These are some of the most accomplished, popular restaurants in Kansas City right now. Before that, you had Gates, you had Arthur Bryant's, you had Jack Stack, and everyone was waving the flag that we were the best there was. And it's kind of fun to see a new generation of restaurants in Kansas City and really for them to see huge success.
Can you get to a point in Kansas City, even though it is a barbecue mecca, can you become saturated with barbecue restaurants there or no?
Well, that's a question that I get asked a lot, but I mean, you got to fish where the fish are, and people here are trained to enjoy and love and purchase and buy good barbecue, not necessarily competition barbecue, but great barbecue. And it's tradition, and it's they don't think anything of it. Go and pick up a couple $100 to carry out trays of barbecue, and that's a Friday night, and everyone hits the kitchen, backyard, pool, and it's game on. So if you're going to be good and produce a good quality product, Kansas City, I can't think of a better place to do it.
So how much time are you into Char Bar? Are you there every day? Are you there, 3-4 times out of the week?
I'm not there every day. And as I said earlier, I've been out of the country really the last few months.
Yep.
But I'm not there every day. But I do consult with my team. And mainly what we're working on now is opening Meet Mitch barbecue restaurant, which should open hopefully October, November of this year in Kansas City as well.
Let's talk.
So that will be my first. Branded restaurant.
How is that going to differ from Char Bar?
A little bit differently. Char Bar is a sit-down, waiters and waitresses restaurant. We will be more of a fast casual restaurant where you go up and you order, and then you sit down and we bring it to you. I like a lot of different things down in Texas. I've spent weeks down there going to every single place that you can name. I enjoy the exhibition-style cooking where you can watch them cut the meats and, kind of have some interaction with people, hand them a burn end, things of that nature. So I'll incorporate different aspects of that into the restaurant. Otherwise, it'll be very similar to Char Bar. I'm not sure if you've been, where we'll have big garage doors, we'll have fire pit, festoon lighting, and then we'll have games. So at Char Bar, we have a full croquet course. We have bocce ball.
Wow.
We have, bags. We have ping pong tables, picnic tables, all that kind of stuff that really creates, a family environment. And we'll have all that at the new facility as well, at the new restaurant as well.
All right, and that's going to be October, November this year, potentially?
Yeah. It's been a long time coming. It's taken me 2 years longer than I thought it was going to. If you can imagine that, trying to get people to open a restaurant could take 2 years longer. Yeah, it's something else.
Now let's talk about I want to talk about the Paris thing too, because that fascinates me to no end. I don't know if I've ever had less of an interest to go anywhere in my life than France, and you're opening a barbecue restaurant there. And it's traditionally not known as having any type of barbecue culture, so that has to be. It's probably not a huge hurdle to have to overcome, but I would imagine there's some barrier to entry there. So how do you introduce American Southern-style barbecue or Kansas City-style barbecue to a French-consuming public?
Well, it was just a wild story from the beginning. There was a buddy of mine through Char Bar that showed me an advertisement that was actually through an online site looking for Craigslist, looking for someone to come over to teach them how to cook American barbecue. So I kind of giggled at it, shared it with my family, and sat on it actually for weeks, a month, and then responded to it. And then the next day I got a verbal, let's get on Skype, let's do this Viber thing, and I'm like, whoa. And literally 3 weeks later, I was living in Paris.
Wow.
That's how fast and how crazy and bizarre it was. So out of the blue. Like if you would have told me a month prior, oh yeah, Mitch, you're going to go live for a few months over in Paris, I would have told you, what is this, 420? What's going on? But it was funny. So I get over there. So I fly sight unseen. They took care of my airfare. They bought me a flat. So I thought I was the coolest guy in the world. I had my own flat in Paris.
Pro athlete.
Whatever.
Nice.
Yeah. So, and then I get over there and I walk into absolutely the most beautiful restaurant with a glass tilted ceiling, a beautiful old hickory pit that they had purchased brand new and had flown over there, and guys and a team that were second to none, that were as cool as could be, but really had no experience whatsoever on how to cook barbecue, American style barbecue. So it was a fascinating experience. It was amazing. The restaurant was located directly across the street from Notre Dame. So if y'all remember that Monday night when it burned for 15 hours, we walked directly out our doors and had the ash falling all over our heads.
Oh dear.
It was just a very, very memorable experience. It was crazy.
How quickly is the food consumed, and like what are the general public's thoughts like right off the bat? Is it a flavor explosion like they've never had?
Well, it was cool. Like what we had to do is we had to have some discussions. Like the owner wanted 85% American, perfect American, Kansas City, whatever I was going to do, 15% tailored towards the Parisians. Parisians, they told me, generally don't like high spice content. They don't like hot. They don't like all that kind of stuff. So, we basically I just created a totally Kansas City style menu. I mean, redid their logo, made the whole menu, did everything. I mean, I got to do everything I wanted. I was like a kid in a candy store. It was so much fun. And I think where we were located in Saint Michel, very touristy area across the street from Notre Dame, you had tons of Americans. You had, people from all different countries, and everyone was really open to trying and experiencing American barbecue, and it was a blast. I actually had people come through that I knew from Memphis in May and other barbecue competitions, and they're like, "What are you doing here, dude?" And it was just like, it was a surreal experience. But I think in general, we spent weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks in putting together how to cook it, how to make the rub. That was the first thing: make a rub, make a sauce, how to trim the meat, how to smoke the meat, how to prep it, how to plate it, how to make it look appetizing. What are we going to do? Let's keep it simple, stupid a little bit. Let's not have a huge menu. Let's do a few things great. And the guy that I worked with, Paul Patterson, who actually was a Kiwi, he was from New Zealand, ended up being one of my closest friends, and we got to travel some over there and do some fun things. And then I brought him over here to Kansas City for a week, and then took him to Memphis in May, and we got up on stage twice, so it was like a Disney movie. But he's still back there and grinding it out, and he's having a blast. And every day he's like, "Oh, dude, there's more people, mate, from Kansas City. How big is Kansas City?" He's like, "Everybody's from Kansas City." So it's fun. It's been amazing.
You'd referenced the 2 walks over at Memphis in May, so let's talk about that as we kind of close it out here. I mean, you're certainly not accustomed to winning awards with that sauce. I mean, it does very well. People love it. I mean, some of the biggest names in the industry are big proponents of it. Jess Pryles loves the shit out of it. So what's it like when you're at a Memphis in May and you're winning awards? That's got to be a top honor.
It is cool. So I think we've competed for 8 years in a row now, and we have 8 trophies, which I think is pretty cool when you talk to people that have been there year after year grinding it out that, never get up on that stage. This year, the sauce won again, naked second place. We've taken the stage several times for that. And then we won 4th place in an ancillary category in seafood, which was the first time we had ever entered it. And that was something that I put Paul in charge of from New Zealand, and we had talked about it for weeks and weeks and weeks leading up to it. And to see him be able to get up there and follow him up on stage for that was just cool as can be. But I think we finished about 25th in ribs. Last year we finished 8th in ribs, so anytime you can get top 10. And then the year prior we got 1st overall in beef category, which was fun. So, I mean, it's amazing. The sauce this year, it just keeps, like you said, we started talking 7 years ago. I mean, Memphis in May, I got 2nd place in the sauce. American Royal has already announced this year we got 3rd place sauce.
Wow.
The NBBQA, we got 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. So it's got to be one of the most decorated sauces that there is in the country. I would hope. At least I keep telling myself that.
When you get,
that's how you keep going.
Hey man, I mean, you see the sales every month, so I mean, you're not just telling yourself that. I mean, you got data to back that feeling up. But when you win these awards, I mean, will you see an appreciable bump in sales for a certain period of time, or I mean, does it just stay pretty steady? And it's just nice to also hang these particular accolades up on the wall.
It's nice to hang them up on the wall. I do see bumps, but I also see interest coming from overseas. Like when I was in Paris, I flew over to Cologne, Germany, and met with a guy that after I had won a Memphis in May award for sauce, reached out to me, and now he sells thousands and thousands and thousands of bottles of my sauce over throughout Europe. You know what I mean? So they get to you that way. I won a Memphis MA trophy. The next day I get an email from a guy in Switzerland who brings over 10 skids, pallets of sauce.
Wow.
Those kind of things, it really resonates. It resonates to people that are looking that can really help move the needle. I don't know that it still necessarily hits the backyard warrior, the 6 million people. When that happens, maybe Heinz comes calling or something fun like that. But it really, there's a niche there, and it's growing, as you're well aware of.
Can you, is there a buy number for Meet Mitch right now?
Well, you're my agent, as you told me earlier. So,
Yes.
You said to keep quiet on that. So I'm not sure what that buy number is, but it'll definitely be going through you.
So, if you look at this year, what are you on track to do? Gross sales. I'm not looking for net profit or anything like that, but gross sales, where are you at?
Well, I can tell you that in the last 3 years, from when I was still at TaylorMade to now, I've doubled it. I've completely doubled it almost twice.
Wow.
So that gives you an idea of what being totally focused, on a product is, not being pulled in 50 different directions.
Well, if you are interested in getting your hands on sauce or rubs or the meat as well, all you have to do is run over to meetmitch.com and order up all that stuff. And then if you're going to be in the Kansas City area, Char Bar is open now. Meet Mitch, the restaurant brand name, will be up hopefully October or November this year. And if you're over in Paris, what's the name of the place in Paris?
I really pride myself, I think, on being one of the first, if only, competition barbecue teams that sell all the different cuts of meats, from burnt ends to briskets to pulled pork to sausage, online, just how we do it in competitions. There's not a big fancy restaurant name behind it. It's a straight competition team, and I've been doing it for 7 years. It's fun.
What's the name of the restaurant over in Paris?
Rosie's Smokehouse.
Rosie's
for Paul Patterson.
Paul Patterson. All right, so if you're going to be over in Paris, look up Rosie's Smokehouse. That's for Paul Patterson. In the meantime, we are chatting it up with Mitch Benjamin. You know him as Meet Mitch, and we say Podsy and Womp a lot when we hang out. Mitch, always appreciate the time, man. Thanks so much.
Thank you again for having me. I really appreciate it, Greg.
You got it. There he is. Mitch Benjamin. Doing it right. Womp, as he says. His ID is the best. Oh, where is it? Let me see if I got it real quick. Station IDs, all IDs. Meet Mitch. All right. I'll be here with Sean in just 1 second. This is Mitch's ID. Check it out.
Yo, Pod! This is Meet Mitch, and you're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Womp!
Love. Womp! That's the gold standard of IDs right now, by the way. Meet Mitch. MeetMitch.com. Is it MeetMitchBBQ.com? Shit. Google Meet Mitch, and you'll go right there. He's right at the top of the return. Shawn Walchef coming up out of the break. I'll talk to you quickly about Green Mountain Grills, makers of some of the best pellet cookers out there on the market today. We'll be talking a lot about pellet cookers this evening. Myron Mixon is making pellet cooker. Green Mountain Grills makes pellet cookers as well. They have 3 different sizes to choose from, 2 different lines to choose from. The classic models. I had a Jim Bowie and a Daniel Boone. Now Detective Corey has my Jim Bowie, but I also have the Daniel Boone on my back lot right now. And I love it. And it's a great pizza oven as well as a smoker. If you want something bigger, the Jim Bowie's probably going to be your cup of tea. Daniel Boone, medium size. Davy Crockett, travel size. Football is just around the corner, gang. That means tailgating, and if you want to take something that's pellet fired, the Davy Crockett right up your alley. If you don't have access to a traditional power outlet either, you can just go ahead and plug it into the 12-volt adapter right in your car, the 12-volt outlet in your car. Then you have the Prime line. That's a more robust chassis. You have some peek-in windows in the main cooking chamber on the pellet hopper, 2 internal meat temperature probes, just a all-around more robust unit. But still the same model brand. Jim Bowie, Daniel Boone. Davy Crockett is on its own. All of the Prime lines have that 12-volt technology on the power as well. They got pellets, they got sauces, they got rubs and spices, all the stuff you need right there. GreenMountainGrills.com. That's GreenMountainGrills.com. Bet on barbecue. Damn Skippy. Stick around. Be right back.
Continuing to produce incredibly mediocre content in an exceptionally professional way. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
Hey, welcome back. Are you ready to find out where you rank against all competitive barbecue teams across the country? You visit SmokelessSmithfield.com to check out where you rank on the Smokeless Smithfield National Barbecue Championship leaderboard. Again, the website SmokelessSmithfield.com. If you're not signed up, you're not going to appear on those national barbecue rankings until you do. It is free, by the way, so sign up today. Again, that website is SmokelessSmithfield.com. All right, helping me close it out tonight, a podcaster, a restaurant owner, and friend of this show, Shawn Walchef. Hey, Shawn. Shawn? Answering this call. All right. Let's try that. Oh, Shawn. Shawn. No, Shawn. All right. Try it again. Oh. I'm not going to let it ring. See it pick up here real quick. Shawn.
Hello.
Hey.
What's up?
What it do?
What it do, my man?
How's it going?
Fantastic. How are you?
Yeah, doing really well. This is the bullpen segment of the show, so the closer is out, and we are ready to shut it down and go home here in a strong fashion. So Shawn, by the way, is the owner of Cali Comfort BBQ, and you can find him at CaliComfortBBQ.com, or if you're going to be in his neck of the woods, just go eat there, for crying out loud. And we got a couple different things to talk about, not the least of which is in a couple weeks, you are going to be kicking off the 4th annual Bet on Barbecue Turf and Surf Barbecue State Championship at the luxurious Del Mar Thoroughbred Club Racetrack.
Absolutely. I think, for us on the West Coast, we've always admired everything that happens pretty much in the barbecue world. Memphis in May, Jack Daniels, all the huge barbecue events that go on. And Derek Marceau, who owns Valley Farm Market, him and I have, partnered up with Gene Goycochea and Arlie Bragg from Kansas City Barbecue Society. And we went to Del Mar Thoroughbred Club and we said, this would be an ideal place to put on a professional KCBS contest and celebrate barbecue on the West Coast. And luckily for us, we convinced them, and now we're in our 4th year. So it's really exciting.
Was there any turmoil over the years where you thought that, it might be good for 1 or 2 years, but it wouldn't be something? I mean, it sounds crazy to say because in the past you would see barbecue competitions that had seen 15 and 20 years of age on them. And, now one is here and then the next year it might have been a great competition and all of a sudden it's gone off the face of the earth. So to have what is going to be 4 years under the belt is a pretty good accomplishment. And I would imagine all parties are seeing the value in keeping it.
Yeah, there's, to be frankly honest with you, there's absolutely nothing easy about putting on a barbecue contest, on whether that's a Kansas City barbecue contest or an amateur contest, which we host one of those in front of our restaurant where we shut down the street. We partner with Valley Farm to do that as well. And, doing that for 7 years allowed us to have the confidence to go and figure out a way to load in 45 professional barbecue teams during, one of the race days. So all the racers, all the horses, they're out there training, and there's just a lot of moving parts. So there's a lot of people that you have to make happy. And fortunately for us, we've been persistent enough to make those people happy. And Del Mar, they couldn't be more excited. And that's really probably the coolest thing that's happened is we've got this network of barbecue restaurants, barbecue teams, barbecue catering companies. Now we brought in dessert companies and seafood companies that really just want to do something cool. The track is just an incredible place. I know you have a fondness for Del Mar.
Yep.
The locations, it couldn't be any better. You know, I have to pinch myself every time we're loading in teams, and you can, literally take a pitching wedge and hit the Pacific Ocean and realize, we're going to be here for the weekend, and it couldn't be more incredible.
So if you're not competing, but maybe you're going to be attending as a spectator, what can you expect from the Turf and Surf this year?
Well, Turf and Surf, so, one of the things that Derek and I have been focused on with Del Mar, one of the kind of turnoffs about barbecue contests is the reason people are so drawn to barbecue contests is because everyone loves barbecue, no matter where you're from in the United States, actually, no matter where you're from in the world. Yep. When someone says there's a professional barbecue contest, people want to go, especially if you're curious, if you, listen to the Barbecue Central show, if you, read Myron Mixon's book, if you do these things, you're like, well, if there's a barbecue contest in anywhere near me, I'm going to go to it. When you go to it, you want to try barbecue. Unfortunately, because of health restrictions and a lot of different other factors, many times you can't even eat barbecue, depending on if they're vendors or what it may be. And for Derek and I and Gene and Arlie, and especially Del Mar, we wanted to have an event that no matter what, whether you were competing, whether you're not competing, if you were coming out to the event, you could get incredible barbecue. And that was really bringing in the restaurant partners, people like Grand Ole Barbecue, y Asado. They were just on Guy Fieri's Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. We have Coops West Texas Barbecue. We have International Smoke, which is Michael Mina and Aisha Curry. That's their 4th International Smoke that they've opened up. They've decided to participate this year. So it's an all-you-can-eat event. They come out, get all the barbecue they want. They can get dessert. They can get seafood. And they can also get craft beer because San Diego is the craft beer capital of the U.S.
Is it?
It is, officially.
All right. Well, you said a name of one of the restaurants serving samples, and you probably lost everybody because you went Spanish on us. You said Grand Ole Barbecue y Asado. Just for the non-Spanish speakers, that's Grand Ole Barbecue and Asado, because I'm sure everybody just glazed over like, what the hell did Sean just say? But I mean, that's a full accoutrement or a full allotment of some pretty high-line barbecue folks that you're having coming in, and you're meeting that need, which I totally agree. I mean, one of the worst things about competition barbecue is nobody's there from a participation standpoint, or if somebody's there watching one of their buddies, it's like, even them, they're getting their hands slapped going, oh, no samples, none of this, it's a health thing. So to rectify that situation does bring some eyeballs and some foot traffic in and help promote the joy of eating great barbecue, and those are some great people serving barbecue.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's, growing the sport of barbecue and getting more awareness, that's really what it's all about. It's, we were so fortunate as a restaurant to have met Gene Goycochea because there was a KCBS contest, at Viejas Casino, which is a casino about, 45 minutes away from our restaurant. We went out and we competed. We got in last place, if not disqualified, but the thrill of the contest, because of what we saw there, the action and all the people, and being there as a barbecue restaurant, we had so many people that were local that were like, whether we won or just got disqualified, they didn't really care. They were just happy that they could meet somebody and then come to our restaurant. And that was just like such a powerful moment for us, where we said, well, as a barbecue restaurant, if we can start organizing barbecue events, amateur events, professional events, this is something where there's, a rising tide. There's a synergy that can happen. And, it's really happening not just here in San Diego, but Los Angeles and, all the way up and down the coast of the West Coast, which is cool.
Shawn Walchef joining me here on the show, owner of Cali Comfort BBQ. CaliComfortBBQ.com is his website, and they're going to be putting on the Bet on Barbecue Turf and Surf Barbecue State Championship Sunday, August 18th, 1 to 5 p.m. VIP pass holders get in an hour early. So if there are any are there any VIP passes left, Sean, or no?
Limited. We limit those to 600. So the event, we take 3,000 total. But there's 600 VIP, and those have been the thing. Those are the tickets that have been going the quickest. There's no line. You get to get in early, so you're getting all the best barbecue. That's the media hour as well. So Any of the local media that come out, they're out there. Pitmasters are out there. Big Green Egg's going to be doing a huge demonstration like they do every year. U.S. Food's got a bunch of cool things that they do, and Hot Sauces and More is another one of our partners. And for us, it's just such a cool thing to be able to be at the Del Mar races, right next to the Pacific Ocean, and celebrate barbecue for, I think the tickets are at $60 right now for all-you-can-eat barbecue, 5 craft beer samples, dessert, as well as seafood. I mean, you can't beat it.
No doubt, and that's August 18th on a Sunday from 1 to 5 p.m. So if you're going to be in that neck of the woods, or maybe you want to make plans to be in those neck of the woods, that's the date. Let's switch gears.
Greg,
go ahead.
Greg, you said you told this is the second year you've turned us down to come out to the event.
Yeah, big surprise. You know me and my love of travel.
Well, your love of travel, you love horses.
Yeah, well, it's closer to me to go to Saratoga, and I'm not going there, and they're in season 2. So, I mean, no big surprise. When you send the jet,
what do we have to do to get you out?
Send the G5.
Next year, the 5th annual.
Send the G5, and then we're all good. That's all. I mean, I only require private jet transportation. I mean, is that too big of an ask?
Okay.
I'll even waive the appearance fee.
That's not a big ask. No appearance fee. I like it.
No, G5 in lieu of appearance fee, no problem. I will accommodate that under protest, of course, but I will accommodate.
Perfect.
So we're in the midst of a podcast revolution. There are a number of podcasts serving any number of niche markets and interests, and you name it, Google it, you'll find a podcast about it. Last time we talked, I believe you had just notched the 100th and final episode of Behind the Smoke. I believe Derek physically intimidated you and you quit. Maybe I got that wrong, or maybe he just physically intimidates me because I'm a puss. So what are your thoughts on podcasting right now, and is there anything new that might be coming around where you're going to re-sink your teeth back into that kind of media?
Yeah, well, first off, I have to congratulate the Barbecue Central show for the Howard Stern barbecue podcast mention.
Yes.
That's a pretty big deal there, buddy.
I mean, I don't want to point out incorrectness, but I have to at every turn. The only thing that Howard got wrong is he did call it a podcast, and as we all know, it is a show that is also being recorded at the same time, which can be listened to if you missed the live show in a podcast format. But other than that, I love the mention.
Well, I look forward to you going on to Howard's program and correcting him.
Yes, I'm sure that will never happen, but I will.
Hey, you had Gary Vee on your program, so don't say never
Twice.
Say never.
That's right.
Very impressive. Yeah, but back to your question about podcasting, it's Derek and I did 100 episodes of Behind the Smoke, and it was barbecue war stories. We wanted to talk about the business of barbecue, but the business of restaurants, kind of behind the scenes, and we were able to interview some incredible people like Amy Mills and Mike Mills of 17th Street Barbecue, Deuce Raymond, Dave Raymond, and we did, a lot of those shows. We did actually 3 of our favorite shows we did from the National Barbecue Association, which I believe you were at as well.
I was there. That's right.
Yeah. So, we ran the duration of those 100 episodes, and right now I'm in the midst of relaunching my next podcast project, which is going to be Digital Hospitality. And that's going to be a podcast focused more on restaurants and more on digital marketing and kind of exposing and sharing the things that we've done, being a restaurant located outside of downtown San Diego. We opened in 2008 when it was, a time where it made sense for us to put an ad in the yellow pages. It made sense for us to put an ad in the newspaper. Those are things that we would never do now, just because cost-wise, it doesn't make sense for the return on investment. So the things that we've been able to do, like focusing on Yelp, focusing on Twitter, Facebook, have allowed us to do incredible things and meet incredible people. I mean, starting a podcast opened us up to so many different people all over the world that loved barbecue, that loved business, that wanted to hear Sam the Cooking Guy, who I know is on your show frequently. He came on and talked about opening up Not Tacos, which is his restaurant here in San Diego, and gave us, a behind the scenes look at going from a media personality to a restaurateur And, really it's kind of what I'm doing is reverse of Sam. And that's, we own a restaurant and we're turning that into a media company. And it's going to be Cali BBQ.media. It's going to be our new media company. And a lot of everything that we're going to do with the weekly podcast is put out content to help people that own restaurants, that own bars, to really get their message out and do things with the internet and with their phone that'll help them expose their brand to a lot of new opportunities.
So is this project going to be audio, or are you going to have video?
Both audio and video. Audio has always been the North Star of the marketing efforts. I wouldn't know you if it wasn't for podcasting, but as we started doing our Behind the Smoke, probably about 20 episodes in, we realized that video was going to be an important component, doing Facebook Live and then also doing YouTube. So we started focusing more on that video aspect of the show, kind of the same way Joe Rogan does. And that's something we want to continue to do. And we've got Blue Vision Entertainment, which is two guys that have a company out here. They've decided to partner up with me, and Stover's our producer. He's out of Portland, but we've got some really exciting things coming up as far as people running restaurants, people doing things in digital marketing and digital media that we admire. And, we're excited to share that.
When does it start?
Basis.
Do you have stuff in the can already, or are you actively shooting? And when can we expect fresh episodes?
We're actively shooting. We started shooting the last 2 weeks. Our first guest will be coming up in the next couple weeks. We've got some big guests lined up, and for us, it's going to be a whole relaunch of our website. A lot of things that we did with Behind the Smoke Media, and then our other website, Cali Comfort BBQ. We're really a media company that sells barbecue online, and then that has barbecue resources available, whether they're in the form of YouTube or podcasts or blog content. There's going to be a lot of information of how to help people that have a catering company get their word out, make partnerships with local sports teams, kind of the same way we did with the San Diego Chargers, the San Diego Gulls, San Diego State Aztecs. We've been able to do a lot of things as a small restaurant that you wouldn't think you'd be able to, and with old media, but now with new media, there's a lot of really cool things you can do.
One of the things that I found most irritating about Behind the Smoke, Sean, was that you had to be, if you were going to be a guest, you had to be in person. Is that a standard that you are going to stick with going forward, or will you be a little bit more open to remote interviews?
Well, it's funny that you say that, because now I'm even more steadfast that we will only do in-person interviews, just because it's going to make you upset.
Irritated. I'm not upset. You don't want to see me angry.
Well, I want to get you too upset. But yeah, no, we really like the personal connection, and I know it limits the show, our ability to get guests on like Greg Rempe, but I hope to have Greg Rempe come out and visit Del Mar so that we can actually sit face to face. I think it gives us a different dynamic with the show, and we know that the audio quality is going to be as best as possible, and video quality as well.
Yeah, I get that. No doubt about it. And so did you say September were going to be the first releases then?
Probably, yeah, around September. It's a lot different starting a media company than it is opening up a restaurant. And I just heard your interview with Mitch Benjamin, and that was incredible. I can't believe he's opening a barbecue restaurant in Paris. That's kudos to him. But yeah, two years waiting. I mean, it's one of those things. I mean, Dr. Barbecue, when he came out to Bet on Barbecue, our event last year, we had him on the podcast, and he was supposed to be opening up, his restaurant, and you never know when you're going to open up a restaurant. I think we're going to have a better idea of when the website will be ready to launch, and when those podcasts will be ready to go, and you'll definitely know.
All right, so be on the lookout for Sean's new project on the podcast side, the new digital hospitality podcast. And if you are going to be in his neck of the woods to eat, CaliComfortBBQ.com, the website, check it out, have a bite. And if you are a barbecue competitor, August 18th is going to be the 4th annual, can you believe it, the 4th annual Bet on Barbecue, the Turf and Surf Barbecue State Championship, and we're talking with Shawn Walchef. Sean, really appreciate the time, all the info, man, and we'll do it again soon.
Look forward to seeing you in San Diego, Greg.
All right, Sean, you keep waiting.
All right.
Thanks for coming on. This guy. See you in San Diego. I mean, the one thing I'm not going to do, is be peer pressured into going to San Diego, but of course I would love it. I would love it. And there are many things out in Southern California that I would love to include hanging out with probably Sylvie Curry and Sterling Ball and Sam the Cooking Guy and Sean. Derek frightens me, so I would probably keep at least 10 feet away from him at all times. There are plenty of reasons. I mean, but it just, from a logistics standpoint and everything else that's going on, it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. As I was talking with Sterling Ball a little bit earlier offline, in 5 years from now, things could look way different for any number of reasons. But, in the near term, it's great to ask. By the way, Sean, if we're being honest, I didn't turn you down again for the fourth time. I didn't get asked again this time. But you probably knew the answer. So, I mean, we're both at fault, I guess. Anyway, let me quickly get through this, and then we will close out the show as we are a little bit over, but that's all right. We're not really on a time frame. Just asked over. Folks, Big Papa Smokers is the one-stop shop for all things barbecue. They have a great selection of cookers and rubs and sauces. 13, actually, perfectly balanced rubs and seasonings. They transform ordinary meals into extraordinary. If you're looking to impress the judges or grilling for family and friends, Big Papa Smokers and their award-winning rubs will not disappoint. You can also check out their unique partnership with Steph Franklin and the gang over at Simply Marvelous Barbecue. When you put Big Papa and Simply Marvelous together, you're working the West Coast offense in whatever way you choose. How do you like it? Over the past few years, the West Coast offense simply dominant on the competition scene, and you know this. Granny's barbecue sauce is something that Big Papa owns as well. If you're looking for a new go-to sauce, why not give Granny's a try? It's absolutely spectacular. Now we talk about the cookers. How about the Mac 2-Star General Pellet Grill? We've talked a lot about pellet cookers tonight. One of the premier cookers on the market when it comes to pellet cookers is the Mac. Big Papa's is the exclusive Mac dealer online. They even offer special packages. Nobody else can offer that. If you're not a fan of the pellet cookers, how about the Old Hickory Ace BP, the only charcoal smoker that Big Papa trusts on his competition trailer? And if you're not sure what kind of smoker you need, well, give them a call, 877-828-0727. They have something for every budget and skill level. They'll help you barbecue better, for crying out loud. You visit the website, bigpapasmokers.com. That's BIGPOPPA smokers.com. And we are back to wrap the show right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Stover, the barbecue hunk. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Have a hunky day.
Whole packers, full racks, legs and thighs, injecting butts. If you've never heard this before, you might think you found the best XXX show ever. Let's get back to the most homoerotic host out there today, Greg Rempe.
And welcome back. Thanks again to Shawn Walchef from Cali Comfort BBQ. Getting ready to do the 4th annual Bet on Barbecue Turf and Surf Barbecue State Championship at the Del Mar Racetrack, August 18th. All the way back in the first hour, Myron Mixon, remember that? JacksOldSouth.com, MyronMixonSmokers.com. First hour for podcast release in about 50 minutes from now and all day tomorrow. Second hour out on Thursday, where you'll be able to hear Mitch Benjamin from Meet Mitch talk about opening a barbecue restaurant in Gay Paris. Whoa. And we close it out with Shawn Walchef from Cali Comfort BBQ talking about the big barbecue state championship he has going on August 18th. Are there spots still available? I guess I should have asked that. Check out Shawn on social media and see if you are a competitor. You're going to be out that way and you want to take part. Why not? Great location. Del Mar racetrack. Are you kidding me? Have you ever been there? It's majestic. We start the month of August next week, if you can believe it. Malcolm Reed is in. Sam the Cooking Guy, fresh back from Japan, is in, and more. Oh. September 11th, 2001. I will never forget until next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. This is your program host and proud U.S. American, Greg Rempe. Good night now.